Coming up, the Hualien Tzu Chi Hospital in Taiwan gave an ankylosing spondylitis patient the chance to walk properly again. We learn more about the financial problems currently faced by the Taiwan High Speed Rail. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Helen Liao. Thank you for joining us. On March 14, ankylosing spondylitis patient Huang Jinghan of Penang, Malaysia, arrived in Taiwan to receive joint replacement surgery. With the assistance of Hualien Tzu Chi Hospital Honorary Superintendent Chen Yinghe and his team, 2 artificial hip joints were inserted to give Huang the chance to walk properly again. After half a month of treatment at the Hualien Tzu Chi Hospital in Taiwan, Huang Jinghan, who suffers from ankylosing spondylitis, is ready to go home. As the day of his discharge falls on his 21st birthday, medical staff surprised him with a birthday cake.
Before, it was extremely hard for me to walk, and I couldn't sleep soundly at night when I first came to the hospital.
I felt extremely sad and depressed when I saw him in pain. I tried to hide my emotions and didn't dare to cry in front of my son. Today, I shed tears of joy and happiness.
In 2012, the symptoms of ankylosing spondylitis started to appear in Huang, eventually affecting his ability to walk properly. On March 14, Huang flew to Taiwan to seek treatment at the Hualien Tzu Chi Hospital. Under the leadership of the hospital's honorary superintendent Chen Yinghe, Huang underwent hip joint replacement surgery.
Huang's hip joint was severely affected by his illness. Giving him a thorough check, we discovered that his joints were in serious condition too. The surgery can reduce some of the pain he has been experiencing.
Following his surgery, despite the pain, Huang Jinghan insists on continuing with his rehabilitation exercises because he has a wish.
The first thing I want to do when I go back to Malaysia is to volunteer at a recycling station. Eventually, I hope to become a part of the Tzu Chi family.
With the support of Tzu Chi volunteers and medical personnel, Huang Jinghan has gained even more courage and confidence to face the long road to recovery. In Taiwan, Northern Tima doctors recently traveled to双溪district near Taipei City to hold their bi-monthly free clinic. Apart from the free clinic at the Taipei双溪Elementary School, Tima doctors pay house calls to treat seniors living in the area.
The Northern Tima office of Taiwan recently organized a free clinic at a Taipei双溪Elementary School, followed by home visitations for residents unable to make it to the venue. The team covered 8 different routes to care for seniors 80 or older who mostly suffer from high blood pressure. What worries medical personnel the most is the seniors' laxness when it comes to controlling their condition. Fortunately, after treating his condition with acupuncture, the senior's blood pressure drops immediately. As part of the home visitation team, Zhang Qing, a traditional Chinese medicine doctor, examined each patient carefully to fully understand their physical and mental health issues.
It's not that their children ignore them, but they just don't have the time to care for them. After all, they need to work hard for a living. With Tzu Chi, however, the seniors know that there are people who care about them and are willing to listen to them.
Once again, the bi-monthly visit in Shaanxi District was a success with seniors looking forward to the next visit.
Recently, Tzu Chi volunteers held a volunteer training seminar for those in the Dominican Republic wishing to become certified volunteers. Among those participating was Annie Bell, who through her involvement in Tzu Chi learned how much love and hope there is in her life. I come from a poor, abusive family, but in Tzu Chi I saw light. Tzu Chi taught me that life is full of love and hope.
Many of the volunteers in the Dominican Republic are like Annabelle, who saw hope in Tzu Chi. Thus, in each meeting, they always seize each moment to gain further wisdom in their pursuit of becoming an official Tzu Chi volunteer.
I look forward to becoming a certified Tzu Chi volunteer. Although I don't have a chance to become a rich person, but I saw that despite lacking in material wealth, if I have love, then I have the power to change the future.
During this training seminar, a doctor was also invited to share some preventative health measures to protect the volunteers' health on their path of cultivation.
Over the years, Tzu Chi volunteers have been carrying out the NGO's charity missions across the globe, including in the Central American country of El Salvador. Recently, TIMA members organized a free clinic at the DaAi second village to tend to residents' medical needs. The Tzu Chi Song One family kicks off the gathering organized by Tzu Chi volunteers in El Salvador, a country with strong Catholic roots. Knowing El Salvador suffers from a high crime rate, Tzu Chi volunteer Ling Lurong takes the moment to encourage participants to think good thoughts and to be kind to one another.
Our goal is not only to deliver much-needed assistance to the less fortunate, but also to form good relationships with all living beings.
Besides the get-together, the volunteers also organized a free clinic. 18 years ago, the senior was involved in a car accident which left her with a severe leg injury. However, without access to medical care, she simply endured the pain until TIMA members walked into her life. This time, the free clinic was held at the DaAi second village with services ranging from gynecology, internal medicine, ophthalmology, and much more. In just a day, a total of 197 residents received medical care from TIMA doctors. Despite the differences between race and faith, TIMA doctors' determination to safeguard the residents' health has never faltered. By attending the free clinic, many patients have realized that love can cross all boundaries. The Taiwan High Speed Rail has drastically reduced the traveling time from northern to southern Taiwan, and due to its convenience and comfort, has nearly driven out the country's domestic airlines out of business. But as the service becomes an integral part of the citizens' life, with the news of the company going bankrupt looming, everyone is worried about what would happen. To help you stay informed, here's our new series.
On January 5, 2007, the Taiwan High Speed Rail began service. With a total length of 345 kilometers and a price tag of $16 billion, it was the world's priciest BOT. But this part of Taiwan that has changed the face of mass transportation on the country's western corridor is currently in debt by about some $1.6 billion.
The so-called public infrastructure has two distinctive characteristics. The first is it's costly, and the second is it's typically not profitable. If a private entity is to undertake this sort of project, first it must have capital to start to build up equity. By investing just $1, you will need to start to balance its assets and liabilities.
But with the high-speed rail being such a colossal project, the original 5 shareholders only invested just a little less than $1 billion, while borrowing some $12.75 billion in loans, which was enough to build 6 Taipei 101s. With a debt ratio of 93%, THSR's interest was simply too high. It could not be pared back by ticket sales alone.
Its primary income comes from ticket sales, and thus the pricing should be set to balance its cost. Otherwise, there will be a deficit. But since this is a mass transportation system, you just can't set the price however you want, as if you would with a private entity.
Due to lower than expected ridership, heavy interest, and aggressive depreciation for cost distribution, the THSR was doomed right from the beginning.
The financial reform of THSR means the ownership of the company will be transferred from the original 5 investors to all citizens, where all can supervise its operation. The MOTC must be prepared to take over and buy back the THSR. The government shouldn't say it's going to buy back the THSR so easily, as that would go against the purpose of build, operate, transfer. At the same time, the government shouldn't be afraid of this scenario either, as without extending the concession period, no way will the original investors put in more capital. Basically, the company is destined to go bankrupt by 2017.
For every day that the THSR is in operations, it needs to spend $3.5 million to cover its wages, operation costs, and pay off interest on loans. Even as the MOTC proposed to decrease the capital of the original 5 while allowing the public to purchase more shares, take back the development rights of all stations, and extending concession periods to 40 years, the reconstructing plan ended with the minister stepping down.
Due to the MOTC's failure to reform the THSR, as the head of this ministry, I shall take full responsibility and step down from my post.
It took 3 presidents, 10 premiers, several changes in government administration, more than 2 decades of planning and construction, and some $16 billion to complete the THSR. If it is allowed to go bankrupt, every citizen will be responsible for about $550 of the debt. Just how did things end up this way?
20 years ago, Tzu Chi Foundation founded the Tzu Chi Collegiate Youth Association. Members of the association spend their free time in service of others with activities that include nursing home visits, volunteering at free clinics, recycling campaigns, and more. Recently, Hualien Tzu Chi, a medical student at Taichung's Zhongshan Medical University, went even further by promoting a blood stem cell donation on campus.
At every Tzu Chi event, one will find the youth of tomorrow in their blue and white. Head of the Tzu Chi Club at Zhongshan Medical University in Taichung, Cai Renwei has been busy promoting a blood stem cell donation campaign on campus.
The goal is to, from these 10 cards, pick the winning one. The chance of getting the right card is 1 in 10, but the chance of a leukemia patient finding a matching donor is 1 in 10,000. We're all studying medicine here and seeing the chances of those suffering from leukemia finding a donor. You realize what you can do as a doctor is very limited. So I thought, if we can get more people in the donor registry, the chances of finding a match will increase, and more people can be helped.
Participating in Tzu Chi activities since young for Renwei, working on behalf of others has already become an integral part of his life.
Helping others is a joyful thing. I don't tell them that they have to do this or that only. Helping others is a joyful thing.
While other Tzu Chings brave the crowds of the recent Lantern Festival to remind the thousands of fairgoers to recycle and dispose of their trash properly.
In addition to doing recycling ourselves, we also need to learn how to discuss this idea with others. This is something we Tzu Chings need to learn.
This helps them understand that the meaning of life is in service.
Tzu Chis are also a welcome sight at nursing homes, bringing their youthful energy to entertain the elderly and sick. And they can also be found at Tima clinics, helping doctors bring medical care to solitary seniors.
They bruise easily, so we have to be very careful when massaging them.
Currently, Tzu Chi clubs can be found on many campuses throughout Taiwan, as well as abroad, as these ambassadors of good work bring happiness, wisdom, and beauty wherever they go.
In the United States, Tzu Chi volunteers in California have worked with companies in the Silicon Valley to reduce their trash and recycle. These high-tech companies produce a lot of plastic trash, and although discarded plastic do not fetch a lot when recycled, volunteers are not looking to make a profit. Instead, their determination is purely from their initial aspiration to keep the planet clean.
At this computer motherboard manufacturer here in Silicon Valley, there are 2 large cardboard boxes next to the production line. Repeatedly, Tzu Chi volunteer Chen Yuying uses a pallet jack to move the fill boxes to a recycling point at the back of the warehouse.
These plastic films are untainted and can be recycled without much sorting. I've been doing this for about a year and a half now. After I started this last year, many other sisters joined me to help recycle. We start by organizing them, then stacking them up, and finally rolling them all together.
Volunteers must use both their hands and feet to roll up the plastic film into a large bundle. Each bundle weighs about 7 kilograms and fetches about $2.50, which is only about 80 NT dollars.
They discard a lot of plastic film. Even if the selling price of the item isn't much, we can recycle and reuse it. Then we're reducing the amount of plastics that ends up as waste. I think it's a wonderful cause to continue doing.
Despite the recent accusations directed towards Tzu Chi, these volunteers' determination to do what's right for the earth is not affected.
I've seen the news in Taiwan, but that doesn't affect me from coming here to help. I don't pay much mind to the news. I'm not influenced.
I'm not affected. The master says, just do the things you need to do.
After the items are loaded, volunteers then drive 2 hours to sell the recyclables, as in their hearts, nothing is more important than safeguarding Mother Earth.
In China's Jiangsu, Tzu Chi volunteer Lu Wanwei has taken drastic steps to involve her community in practicing recycling by moving from the 8th floor to the 1st floor so that she can better promote the concept to her neighbors. Meanwhile, in Myanmar, volunteers Lin Wei-chang and his mother opened up their front yard as a recycling point to inspire more to safeguard the planet.
Here in a community in Myanmar, Tzu Chi volunteers have come calling for the past 5 months. Each family happily donates their recyclables to Tzu Chi.
The residents say they don't have much recyclables on their own, but when these small amounts are gathered, it becomes something large. Normally, people don't have much spare money to donate, but by collecting the bottles and cans for recycling, they too are doing good deeds on a daily basis.
In support of her son's involvement in Tzu Chi, Xie Shufen opened up her front yard for Tzu Chi to sort recyclables.
This is a good thing. Of course, I'm happy. I welcome Tzu Chi volunteers to do recycling here.
During my volunteer training courses, I saw the videos that reminded us to use less plastic bags and one-time use utensils. So now I have begun carrying my own utensils and have used less plastic bags.
For the some 40 households helping to donate their recyclables in Xie's community, volunteers hope to also teach them about treasuring their natural resources.
We want to spread the message of using less water and electricity. Also, to only purchase items that are needed. We need to conserve whenever possible.
5 months ago, there was no recycling point here, but now this community's monthly recycling days are filled with residents coming together to learn more about saving Mother Earth. Meanwhile, also helping to promote recycling efforts is Lu Wanwei of Jiangsu's Kunshan. Originally living on the 8th floor of her apartment complex, Lü Wanwei moved to the first floor, hoping to further interact with her neighbors.
Individually, it looks like we aren't producing much trash, but collectively we discover that it's not true. When waste is put in the wrong place, it becomes trash. However, when recycled, it becomes a valuable resource.
Lü and her neighbors visit the Tzu Chi Kunshan Recycling Education Station to learn more about the ins and outs of categorizing recyclables.
It's smelly, right? See how wise our master is. This is why she advocates purity at the source. On one hand, it was my mistake that I didn't prepare masks for them, but on the other hand, this mistake was fortuitous, as it taught them the importance of purity at the source.
The details of sorting a plastic bottle filled with liquids still inside has left a big impression on this community recycling volunteer.
This unfinished drink was such a nuisance. If it was empty and cleaned before being placed in the recycling bin, then sorting it would be much faster.
Realizing the importance of purity at the source, these community recycling volunteers are ready to spread this ideal to all those they come in contact with.
Recently, the Tzu Chi Malaysia chapter began a concert tour around the country to thank those who helped the survivors of last year's flooding recover. Their first stop was in Kelantan.
Kelantan is the first stop of Tzu Chi's musical tour to thank all those who contributed to the recent flood relief in eastern Malaysian Peninsula.
Because there are people like you out there, Tzu Chi volunteers only act as a bridge. We send your love to areas where you can't reach personally.
Volunteers who personally took part in the relief efforts expressed their compassion for those suffering through a song. The flood last December displaced tens of thousands of people. Through a footage, the audience saw how Tzu Chi came to the rescue of the flood victims.
I saw many Tzu Chi volunteers, fellow Malaysians, working hard to clean up the garbage strewn on the street. I can feel that our country has gained a new sense of hope. Citizens don't care about each other's religion and are now able to help one another. This is the thing I have felt the most.
Well-known Malaysian celebrity Yang Wei-han and vocalist Du Junning also joined the celebration. A few flood victims also joined the volunteers on stage to perform. The concert concludes with Love in the Air.
We go to Central near Taipei City, Taiwan at the end of the show, where Tzu Chi volunteers help care recipient Mr. Chen clean up his cluttered home. We'll leave you with these images. Thank you for watching DaAi Headlines. Goodbye.